With Valve's 20-year update just passing and a major update appearing to be right around the corner, today we're breaking down how you can prepare and profit. Now we've got 6 different things I want to talk about, but the first of which is trade-ups. Now trade-up fillers are something I really want to get into, especially considering if we see the removal of these 8 active duty collections, they have the possibility to absolutely explode. But the truth is, these trade-up fillers usually see quite a significant increase no matter what. We can look at the past operations, and anytime there's a brand new update that brings brand new content to the game, trade-up fillers are the place to be. And I don't think it's going to be any different when it comes to CS2. SkinSwap is today's sponsor, and they're also sponsoring you with a free bonus for signing up with the first link in the description. They're the premier place for CSGO and Rust skins with a massive trading site and a top-of-the-line marketplace, offering you the most competitive rates out there and a massive 40% bonus when you're using that link in the description. Combine that with their top-of-the-line selling feature with many payout options and their trading feature legitimately taking you just about a minute, and there's no reason not to sign up with that first link in the description. Now the other side of trade-ups are the inputs. If we want to look at the M4A1S Blue Phosphor, it's up about 250% in the past year. But look at the inputs that were used to get that. Those are actually up 350%, and when we go down different tiers, we can see the different profitability that comes with it. You don't have to invest into specifically the skin you think is going to absolutely explode, but if you invest into the inputs as well, you could potentially even get a little bit more growth than you would see with that actual original item if the original one is extremely expensive. The next area I have on my list are skins, and although I don't think skins are the most optimal way to prepare for CS2, the truth is, like we've mentioned a couple times in this video, if you're sitting on a decent amount of money and you're waiting for skin prices to go back down, I don't think that's going to be the case for a lot of the more popular finishes that you're probably looking at. A lot of these skins right here that are liquid, and they're also decent, and they're also up a decent amount. 15 to 20% is a pretty decent increase for a lot of skins. I would say it's probably not going to be in your best interest to hold off, especially if you're looking at a discontinued collection or an older case skin. I think now is probably going to be a more optimal time than waiting for the future. Now Valve's latest update is an absolute game changer. Not only did they make skins look once again quite decent for a couple specific ones, if we want to look at specifically Doppler knives. Now Doppler knives absolutely exploded when CS2 started to pick up in popularity. That's obviously because they looked significantly better, but now they look significantly different. Look at this image right here. This is specifically a phase 2, one that's a little bit more on the pinkish side when we're talking about a Doppler. But here it almost looks like a light ruby. Or what about this phase 3 right here that just looks different? I don't even honestly know what this looks like, but these are not the same knife in my opinion. We can also see here that the gamma Dopplers do look different, and in my honest opinion, I don't think this is one that's going to end up sticking around. I think this is just kind of an error and maybe we will see it fixed, but the truth is, at this point at least, they look very interesting. However, use context clues. Look at the past that the Sun and Leo did have a purple scope and then it got removed, and I don't think investing into any of the Dopplers at this time is going to be worthwhile if you weren't looking to already. Most of these changes do have a high probability of getting revoked. However, the one update that's here to stay actually has a huge impact, and that's this one right here. Now we talked about the buyer menu in the past, but I want to show you just how vital this is. If we want to look at this right here, these are the M4A1S peaks and dips, and as you can see, there's a lot of changes going on. Same with the M4A4 right here. You can see there's a lot of movement that goes on with these skins. That's just because we have the buff and the nerf. These are not going to be that way anymore because you can obviously have both of them equipped, but this goes much deeper than that. If we want to look at this right here, these were the most used weapons inside of the major CSGO event, the Gamer 8. And as you can see right here, there is no SMGs on this list other than the MP9. But when we look at this right here, the MP9 and the shotguns only have a total of 5 slots when they previously had 10. And we can see exactly what this means when we look at some of the SMGs. Now if we want to look at the MAC-10 right here, it's up about 10% in the past month. And when we look at the MP9, we can see that it's up about 13% in the past month as well. But the truth is, it doesn't apply to every single SMGs. These are 2 of the more popular ones because they're the cheapest option. If we want to look at the MP5SD, we can see that we have seen virtually no movement for this weapon over the past month. And when we look at the PP Bison, the only pink PP Bison out there, a reasonably priced one, has also not really seen any growth over the past month, even though theoretically this skin has a lot of potential, because if we want to look at what case it's from the Spectrum 2 collection. It's not a new case, it's been out there for quite a while, and yet this skin has always been on the cheaper side, especially in the field tested form, and this is just a absolutely vital example of why certain skins are probably going to have a much higher discrepancy in the future. The weapons that are commonly used are going to become much more expensive, whereas the ones that don't really have a use for a lot of the player base race, because there's only 5 slots now, are theoretically going to be the ones that you should probably avoid if they don't have any other desirable aspects about them, like we can see here with the PP Bison High Roller. Now the title is How to Profit and Prepare, and the truth is there's not a huge opportunity to profit off of this area specifically. It's more about not losing out by investing into specific play skins that you want to have, but also ones that also have a desirability about them. Although investing into the unique skins are definitely great, you want to make sure that you're investing them into a weapon that people want to actually use in the future. Otherwise, you're probably not going to be seeing too much growth, like we mentioned, if it doesn't have another one of those attributes we look for. Now, talking about some brand new content coming into the game, it's been a quite significant amount of time since we've seen an operation, since we've seen a brand new case, and since we've even seen a map rotation, which is usually one that comes along with potentially an operation. It definitely depends. But the truth is, I think it's definitely likely we could potentially see some of this on the horizon, and obviously that brings a very significant market impact. Obviously, we talked about an operation, and we can see a lot of the active duty cases at least drop significantly during that time, and I would say that would be my biggest concern, is definitely if you're holding on to any of these, it's a risky investment. I want to make sure you are fully aware. The fact is, these are the most volatile things when an operation comes out. However, talking about rare cases in general, we really haven't been seeing too much movement in this area specifically over the past month, and I really like this. As of me personally, I've just been slowly accumulating a couple more of these. Not a huge amount, because a lot of the cases that are on the cheaper side, I've got a decent portfolio of, and I'd rather put my money into a little bit more risky of an investment as a Paris for the current moment, just because I want to have some risk diversity. But when we're talking about these rare cases, I think there's an optimal position that they're looking at as of currently. We can look at a lot of them in the unboxing numbers. It's looking quite consistent, which is exactly what we want to see. Now, the reason I'm very strong about the rare cases is specifically because they're built on a very strong stability, which not everything is inside of CSGO. A lot of them are only going to decrease in quantity because they're rare cases, making 1% of the drop pool, but they also are unboxed a heck of a lot, and they're only going to go down, which is a very important factor when we talk about the fact that they usually get swept up in the hype as well. When we talk about investments that go absolutely crazy off hype, a lot of them are not the greatest investment, but rare cases are the complete opposite. They're the absolute best investment you can make if you're looking for stability, but also a decent amount of growth, because a lot of them get swept up in this hype, and you can sell them off for potentially massive profits. People like to open up cases, and when CS2 comes out with their case opening feature, I think we're going to see a lot of hype and a lot of interest come to this area, and I think it's one area that if you really want to sell off your cases, then you're going to have a very significant advantage to do so, at least in my opinion. And finally, the hidden way, so to say, of how to prepare and profit off of this area is, at least in my opinion, a lot of collection skins. Personally, I've been stockpiling up a decent amount of these Shattered Web collection skins because I think they have a very strong future ahead of them. Specifically, the light blues is what I'm going after, just because the trade up potential is very strong, and they're honestly not too expensive of a trade up to do, meaning the accessibility of the trade up is very large. I think honestly any of the past 3 operation collections are probably going to be in a decent position, but these are just the ones I specifically chose because I'm also a big fan of the top covert weapons inside of these ones. But that's pretty much all I got. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.